to share anything? Okay. Read some verses. Shaunaka inquired about the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. There must have been many narrations of the spotless pastimes of the Lord. The hearing of such narrations is exactly like bathing in the water of the river Ganges, for it can free one from all sinful reactions. So, hearing about Krishna's pastimes frees one from sinful reactions. The water of the Ganges is purified because it pours forth from the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is as good as the water of the Ganges because it is spoken from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. So it is with any topic on the pastimes of the Lord or the characteristics of his transcendental activities. The Lord is absolute. There is no difference between his words, his perspiration, or his pastimes. So everything associated with the Lord is all purifying. Any paraphernalia, whether his speech, his garments, his perspiration, his pastimes, Charnamrit. The water of the Ganges, the narrations of his pastimes, and the words spoken by him are all on the absolute platform. And thus taking shelter of any one of them is equally good. Sri Rupa Goswami has enunciated that anything in relationship with Krishna is on the transcendental platform. If we can dovetail all our activities in relationship with Krishna, then we do not stand on the material platform but always on the spiritual platform. Okay, so that's the definition of dovetailing. What is that? Dovetailing means
Yukta Vairagya.
Yukta Vairagya. Anasaktasya Vishaya Nitharam Upayunjitaha.
Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe Yukta.
If I am doing business, if I connect that business with Krishna, then it is no longer material, it's spiritual. Yeah, whatever activities we do, if we connect it with Krishna, if Krishna is the benefactor of those activities, serve Krishna, then they are not material.
Also,
So,
go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said that Krishna is the benefactor. That means whatever we should do, it should benefit him, right?
Yeah, for his service, yeah.
That means something well-being for humanity, or kind of say, his creation.
Yeah, humanity means giving Krishna to the humanity, making aware of Krishna to the humanity. That is also preaching, yeah, we say that's also. So, we can, some comments are there also in the chat. You want to say?
No, this is, I was remembering Narad Muni says to Yudhishthir Maharaj that if somebody has lusty desires or inimical feelings, fear, affection, devotional service towards Krishna, then they all get benefited because it is towards Krishna. And he gives examples of gopis, the lusty desires, Kansa is fear, Shishupal, envy, and Yadu's having a family relationship with Krishna, Pandavas having affection for Krishna.
Nice.
So having feelings for Krishna.
We may be impure, we may also have impure feelings, but Krishna is pure. So, by coming in contact with Krishna, we will become purified. So, the idea. Even if one has inimical feelings, that's also then one becomes purified. Yeah, so somehow or other we have to give our heart to Krishna. Basically, that's Krishna also says, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, give your heart to me, only me. So In the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, yeah, take your mind from everything else and focus it on me. So he is known as a man of
Steady intelligence.
steady intelligence. Yeah. And Prabhupada said like that, if you give your heart to Krishna, Krishna will never disappoint you. In this world, if we give heart to so many, they may disappoint us, but Krishna will never disappoint. Like that he said also.
If you make friendship with Krishna, you will never be cheated and you will get all help needed.
Correct. This is one thing we have to consider Krishna as our friend and depend on him. And then he will take care. So, and do things which are pleasing to him. Also, we have to do things which are pleasing to him. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. Like that. So, okay. Accepting things that are favorable and rejecting things that are not favorable. Okay, next verse. O Sutta Goswami, all good fortune to you. Who is saying? Shaunak Rishi is saying. Sutta Goswami is speaking Bhagavatam. Shaunak Rishi is telling him, all good fortune to you. Please narrate the activities of the Lord, which are all magnanimous and worth glorifying. What a sort of devotee can be satiated by hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord? So who can stop hearing? It is so nice. Like yesterday we were hearing the class, it says, oh, this word Krishna has produced so much nectar. I wish I had so many. So same thing about Hari Katha, Hari Nam. Who can be like, it is so blissful that we want to hear more and more and more and more. The pure devotees, their taste in bhakti increases so much that they want to do more and more and more and more and more and more. And they're never tired. Like, they never feel they've done enough. They're just devotional service is like so blissful. They get so much taste in that. No jane janita. No jane janita. Krishneti. Kiyad bir Krishneti. Varna dvai. What is that? No jane janita.
Tunde Nandavani, Natim Tundavali, Labdai, Karna Krodha Kanamani Gatayate, Karna Buddhes,
Yeah.
Cheta Prangan Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritam, no Jane Janita Ki Adpiramrita Krishneti Varnata.
No jane janita kiyad bir. Amrita Krishneti varna dvai.
Which verse, Mata? So beautiful.
I'll paste it, Mataji, Rupa
Okay,
Goswami.
sure.
So Rupa Goswami is feeling like that because he has so much taste, and we can also get that much taste, provided we follow Rupa Goswami's direction in Nectar of Instruction, verse 7. He says, yes, if we chant every day nicely and give up the offenses. There are many offenses. It may seem like very difficult. One is to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. That is one offense. To commit sinful activities, to blaspheme the devotees. So all these offenses, give up and chant Hare Krishna very carefully and attentively. Then we'll also get taste like Rupa Goswami. Because it is a science, so anybody who can, it's not only reserved for Rupa Goswami. Anybody who wants can get that same taste. Like in science, anybody can do the experiment and get the same result. So that's why Prabhupada says science. So, like that. So we have to do it properly with the right attitude, and then the results will come by Krishna's grace. Of course, we can't demand, but Krishna will. The narration of the pastimes of the Lord, which are always enacted on the transcendental platform, should be received with all respect by devotees. So we should hear with lot of respect. Those who are actually on the transcendental platform are never satiated by hearing the continuous narration of the pastimes of the Lord. For example, if any self-realized soul reads from Bhagavad Gita, he will never feel satiated. The narrations of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam may be read thousands and thousands of times, and still without fail new aspect of the subject matter be relished by the devotee. So, yeah, sometimes we read the verse and we think, yeah, we never read this before, although we may have read it. One thing is we forget also, and the other thing is it's like fresh that we can apply again. We feel like, oh, this verse I can apply. I've not been applying this verse, it's fresh. I should apply this verse. So it's very good like that. So okay.
This verse is similar to that verse, right? Nivritta tarshe pagyaman. Pavaushada shotra manobhiramat kautam shloka gunanuvadat puman virajit vinapashudna. That glorification of Lord is performed in the parampara system, and such glorification is relished by those who are nivritta tarshe, who have given up all desires for temporary sense gratification. Who will not hear? Who will cease hearing this glorification unless he's a butcher or someone who wants to kill his own self?
Nivritti means retired. Pravritti marg and nivritti marg. We have two margs. Nivritti, retired from tarsha. Tarsha means thirst. Those who are retired from the thirst of material enjoyment, they can relish it very nicely. This, of course, it is pleasing to everybody, but especially to those who are nivritta tarshir. So the more we become free from material desires, the more this Krishna consciousness will become relishable. Why? Because there is less distraction. If you have no material desires, means it will be shanti. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakala shanta. Krishna bhakta nishkama atevasha. So you're shanti, you're peaceful, so you can hear very nicely with rapt attention. Prabhupada says with rapt attention, and then you can realize Krishna through the pages of Bhagavatam. So the mind has to be made calm by giving up those things that are not favorable for bhakti, and then we can focus, and that focus will give taste. That was also there. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pito Tarasanasya Narochikano Kintva Danudinam Khalu Seva Jushta Swadvi Kramat Bhavadi Tadkadamulahantri. Adar means with respect and care and attention. So okay, yeah, so this is very nice. But how do we come to that stage, right? There also we have to hear, right? There we say it is the means and it is the goal. So keep hearing, chanting, and praying to Krishna to remove all the obstacles. Then we come to that stage also, where it is very relishable. And having relished this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Thinks that, yeah, this is so good, so nice. Manyate nadikam tataha.
Yam labdva chaparam labham. Manyate nadikam tataha. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate.
Yeah, so it's having obtained this. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. So all this pleasure awaits us. Actually, it is there for the soul. And as we become purified in consciousness, we can relish that pleasure more and more. And then when you get that higher pleasure, raso varjam raso piyasya param drishtva nivardate. You don't look for any other pleasure. But it's not so easy. It takes time. We are conditioned. So we have to be patient and practice, keep practicing. On being asked to speak by the great sages of Naimisharanya, the son of Ramaharshan, Suta Goswami, whose mind was absorbed in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, said, "Please hear what I shall now speak." So he was telling, "Please tell us the pastimes of the Lord." And Suta Goswami began to speak. Suta Goswami continued. Vidura, the descendant of Bharat, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord.
Prabhuji, I'm sorry to disturb. I'm just curious to know that is that Bhagavad Gita Vedabhas Muni written, right? He composed. It was on paper, something or?
Yeah, the Vedyas, he put it into writing. Yes.
And how about Bhagavatam also? Or he told his son Sukdev, or he also has written?
Yeah, he
How that
compiled.
was?
It is said he compiled all the Vedic literatures for.
Vedabhas Muni himself.
Correct. Earlier it was like spoken,
Yeah,
but in Kali Yuga,
that is in Rig period, right? Not Vedabhas Muni. I don't know
all the
how.
Vedas are also composed by Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved. He divided one Veda. It's all ultimately he is the author of all the Vedas, Vyasadeva. So because in
But
Kali Yuga,
Vedas, many verses were contributed by many other rishis. Vyasa was not the only one.
correct. Like in Bhagavatam also we have many speakers, right? So yeah.
And he compiled, he written. Okay.
Okay, so
And I have one more question that during Parikshit, Sukadev Goswami first time spoke Bhagavatam to all the rishis, whoever were there, right? And then second time, again same place, Naimisharanya, Suta Goswami spoke.
correct. He was in the audience.
Oh, he was in the audience. Okay.
Actually, Vyasadeva first spoke to Shukdev Goswami, and then Shukdev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj, and when Parikshit Maharaj he was speaking, then Suta Goswami was in the audience. Then Suta Goswami spoke to Shaunak Rishi, and then all the sages that headed by Shaunak Rishi. Yeah. Correct? Is that correct?
Shukdev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj on the banks of the Ganges, right? It was not Naimisharanya.
Oh, it's not on the Naimisharanya?
No, that was Suta Goswami speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. That was Naimisharanya.
Different place, yes. But the same message.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Vidura, the descendant of Bharat, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord. So he heard about Varahadev, who, having assumed his own divine potency, the form of a boar, had enacted the sport of lifting the earth from the bottom of the ocean and indifferently killing the demon Hiranyaksha. Vidura then spoke to the sage as follows. It is stated here that the Lord assumed the form of a boar by his own potency. That means he can accept any form by his own desire. We accept different forms by the influence of our, desires and Maya gives us different forms. in this material world, we get different bodies. Krishna says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshu arjuna tishtati. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. Whereas Krishna comes by his own Atma Maya, and we are under the influence of this Mahamaya. Of course, under the direction of Krishna, we get, Krishna says, now this person wants this to enjoy this kind of thing. Okay, give him this body, this kind of yantra rudani maya. So depending on what our desires and karma and all that, then we get a suitable vehicle, which is like your yantra. Yantra is like a vehicle in which we are seated. Along with Paramatma, we are there in this, and we are driving this vehicle for a few days or few years, like that, moving around. Then we get another vehicle, because this vehicle becomes old. Then you have to buy a new vehicle to fulfill your desires. This vehicle is not sufficient to, like a car, if you drive for many, many years, then afterwards you have to change your car, because that car can no longer drive you around. So similarly, the body becomes old, then you have to get a new body to fulfill your other desires that have developed. So in this way, we transmigrate in material existence. But Krishna says, I come by my own sweet will. What is that verse in the 4th chapter? I descend by my own sweet will. Ajopi san, avayat.
Bhutanam avyayam.
Bhutanam Ishwaropi san, Prakritim swam adhishthaya,
Adhisthaya sambhavami atmamaya.
Atmamaya. So Krishna comes, he can accept a boar. We can become also a boar, or we were a boar in some lifetime. But we became a pig. But so like that, we are forced to monitor. His form is not actually. So that is the difference between Krishna's birth and our birth. That's why he says, one who understands the divine appearance, divine nature of my appearance and activities, in truth, he does not come back to this material world. So we can't think Krishna is also forced to transmigrate, as some people say. Just like the example is that if the prisoners think that
The king who has come to the prison is also a prisoner.
okay, yeah, then it's not correct. Because the difference is that prisoner has gone inside the prison, he has been arrested and put in the prison. But the king has come in the prison to examine the affairs of the prison, and he has come out of his own sweet will. He has not been forced to come in the prison. But the criminals are arrested and then put into prison, handcuffed and thrown into prison. So that's the difference. But if prisoners think, oh, the king is also in a prison, he's also a prisoner like us, then that is flawed thinking, that is not correct thinking. So, in Bhagavad Gita, the same fact is confirmed. When the Lord descends to this earth, he assumes a form by his own internal potency. Means as he desires. Internal potency means as he desires. The form of the Lord, therefore, can never consist of material energy. I cannot say, next life I should have this kind of form. That the higher authorities will decide. Karmana deva netrena jantur deha upapataye striya pravishta udaram pumsa reta kanashraya. Or Shotram Chakshum Sparshanam Cha Rasanam Ghranam Eva Cha Adhisthaya Manaschayam Vishayan Upasevate. In the 15th chapter also Krishna says that according to our mind and we get the senses. Shotram Chakshum Sparshanam Cha. So if our mind is like spiritual, then we will get a spiritual body, because we get a body based on our mind. So So that is why they say we have to make the mind Krishna conscious, make the mind attached to Krishna. Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjun madashraya asanshayam samagramam yatha gnasyashi tachrino. Just hear from me how you can practice this yoga in full consciousness of me with your mind attached to me. Krishna says that. So it's very difficult to make the mind attached to Krishna, because it's so we are trying to make the mind attached to Krishna.
Is the spiritual body can sense the flower, the beauty of flower, the fragrance, the like normal or material body?
Spiritual body has spiritual senses, material body has material senses, and the subtle body has subtle senses. So, so there are three kinds of senses: material senses, subtle senses, and spiritual senses. So we can enjoy when we are liberated. We don't have a material and subtle body like gross and subtle body. So we have a spiritual body with spiritual senses. So we can also smell, we can also do everything, taste. In the spiritual world, they are eating also. There is smell and everything. They are seeing. So they are. The soul has spiritual senses, which are now covered over by the matter. So uncovering the process of spiritual life is uncovering our spiritual senses by dissolving this matter that is there around the. So how will we dissolve this matter? Or spiritualizing it by engaging in Krishna's service. The mind becomes spiritualized, right? So, or it becomes dissolved. When we go back to the spiritual world, then we leave behind the subtle and gross material bodies, and the soul goes. Because in spiritual world there is no matter, there is only spirit, soul. It's spiritual. So spiritual also, there is mind there also in the spirit. Spiritual body also has a mind and senses and everything. But because we are not, it is not needed in the material world, so it is covered over. So we have material senses because we have come here to enjoy sense gratification. So we don't need spiritual senses. So material, it has been covered over by material senses. So the process of spiritual life is uncovering our spiritual senses. And through that spiritual senses, when you experience pleasure, serving Krishna, that pleasure is nowhere compared to what you get from bringing senses and material senses in contact with the sense objects, material sense objects. So those who are in that spiritual form and they are experiencing that spiritual pleasure, they are not anxious to combine the senses, material senses, with the sense objects, because they are experiencing that higher pleasure. It's like that. But how will we become uncovered? By Shabda. Anavriti hi Shabdat. Anavriti hi Shabdat. By hearing, by the sound vibration. Our material covering will be removed and will be uncovered. The real I will be uncovered from these gross and subtle coverings by Shabda Brahman, by hearing. That's what this is. Anavriti hi Shabdat. Avriti means cover, and anavriti means to uncover. So the more we hear about the Lord, the more we hear the Mahamantra, and like that, and follow, and be uncovered. A conditioned soul is forced to accept a particular type of body by the higher authority of material laws. Yeah, and there are so many different kinds of body. Actually, even if you take one thing, I was thinking, if you think that I have eyes, Krishna has given me eyes, so wonderful. Ask those people who don't have eyes. Just on that very fact that Krishna has given you eyes and ears, and so many people can't hear, right? You can be so grateful that you can give your life to Krishna. Because just think about those people who don't have. Of course, Surdas and others who are blind, they were also very spiritually advanced. But just having some gratitude in this, like, ask that person who doesn't have what we have. He will do anything to get that, right? So we have it, but we don't. Krishna has given it to us. So just feeling that we have it, oh, it's so it should produce so much gratitude that we should say, okay, Krishna, because you've given me so much, I'll give myself to you. But we don't think like that, at least for me. I was thinking like that, yeah, there are sometimes, we see people with this. This is to inspire
Yeah,
us.
we
Inspire
take
us.
it granted.
Yeah, we take it granted. We should.
We take it granted, or we take it's our ability to do well. It's
Uh,
actually it's a gift from Krishna.
correct. Yeah.
Like yesterday, we heard the pastime Salbeg, right?
Uh,
How Krishna saved him when he was wounded and he had so much pain that he wanted to give up his body.
mm,
And then when Krishna healed him, he came in the dream and gave him vibhuti and magically healed him, and he surrendered his life. He says, I'm indebted to you forever, what you have given. So he gave his life to Krishna.
very nice point. Yeah, yesterday we read. Just because he got cured.
Also,
Go ahead.
also Krishna sometimes, like a baby, demands the Nandagaon, the Brindavan, where Nanda Baba used to live. He moved from Gokul to Nandagaon because of Kansh, right?
Mm,
The palace nowadays here, there was no palace. So I was reading that story that the king of Bharatpur is pretty close to Vrindavan, only
mm,
45 kilometer from Vrindavan. And the king was Suraj Mal.
mm,
And his dream, Krishna came and he said, he saw in his dream that Krishna is telling him that I'm having problem in small places. Pick me, please make a palace for me to stay as it was in Nanda Baba's time. So King Surajmal made that palace actually. Krishna appeared in his dream and asked him to do so.
mm. Yeah, we went to Nandagaon, where remember went to Nandagaon, that palace, or that we went inside, right? Inside, we were sitting in front
Yes,
of
he saw the deities of Yashoda, Nanda Baba, Balram, Krishna, and Radharani.
Black color with flute, everybody, right?
They didn't
Balaram
also take
also.
pictures.
Oh, I saw that picture that Balaramji also with flute.
it.
And he's also body color black.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so so any one small thing you can take in your life and say, "Oh, Krishna gave me human body." So many other creatures don't have human body, and you can capitalize on that feeling, and then give your life to Krishna. If you don't have to say, "Oh, I didn't get $1 million, so only after I get $1 million I will give my life." No, just count your blessings and see what you have, and feel so much gratitude that Krishna will give. Like Salbeg, yesterday we were reading, he got cured, and just from that one act of getting cured, he devoted his life to Krishna. So, so we have been given, eyes and ears and nose and everything too, so we can feel like that. But I'm just, we can inspire ourselves to.
Radharani also wanted to give a vision back to Surdas, but Surdas didn't want.
Hmm. Okay, so we count our blessings basically. That's another day Krishna has given me to live, to devote myself to him. I could have died yesterday, but he gave me another day to live. So let me use this day in fully in His service, like that. Because when you are nearing death, then every day counts. It is so much pain that one day it is like this, one day it is like that. You just wish that today is a healthy day. When you have some acute disease, then you just wish that, oh, maybe today, if I can just sleep at night, or if I can just, have a pain-free, relatively pain-free day, I'll be so grateful. And now we have so many relatively pain-free days. So we should think, yeah, I should make opportune use of this time, because the time will come when then may not be like this. So in Bhagavad Gita, the same fact is confirmed. Like sometimes, you get a job, you don't have a job, then you say, oh, Krishna, you gave me a job, I will give my life to you. In Bhagavad Gita, or I'll use my job to serve you, Krishna, you gave me a job. In Bhagavad Gita, the same fact is confirmed. When the Lord descends to this earth, He assumes a form by His own internal potency. The form of the Lord, therefore, can never consist of material energy. So He has no flesh and blood in His body. Although when Bhishma was striking Krishna, blood was coming out. Why? So that
they have emotions. They develop emotions for Krishna.
yeah, like Krishna is crying and all this, as if he's hungry. How can Krishna be hungry? He has a spiritual body, if you think about it. How can he have material hunger? Of course, he's hungry for prem. Like that also we can take it. He's hungry for love of his mother in the form of her milk. But it's there, those emotions are there in the spiritual world. So, spiritual world is not bereft of emotions, bereft of variety. They are there, but they are spiritual emotions, and they are reflected here as material emotions. So, yeah.
Prabhuji, did you meet such sadhu in Vrindavan who constantly bows down? I don't know how many times he does that to Govardhan at one place, and his chanting bead is like 500, I think. Bead is so long. I don't know how many times he chants.
We saw many sadhus in Vrindavan
Um,
doing parikrama and so many things. We don't know sometimes, they are not famous, but internally they are very spiritually advanced. They are very detached. We don't know where they have come from and
yeah.
why they are like in Vrindavan and roaming about, So, okay, the form of the Lord therefore can never consist of material energy. The Mayavad version that when Brahman assumes a form, the form is accepted from Maya is not acceptable, because although Maya is superior to the conditioned soul, she is not superior to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is under the control of the Supreme Godhead as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya is under His superintendence. Maya cannot overcome the Lord. Maya can overcome the Jiva, but not the Lord. The Mayavad idea is that the living entity is the supreme absolute truth, but has become covered by Maya is invalid, because Maya cannot be so great that it can cover the supreme. The covering capacity can be employed on the part and parcel of Brahman, not on the supreme Brahman. Okay. So Krishna cannot come under the influence of Maya, like how we have come. He can come under the influence of Yoga Maya by his own sweet will, but not Mahamaya. So, because Prabhupada says, if he were to come under the influence of Maya, then Maya would be higher than the Lord, because the Supreme Lord comes under the control of Maya, then Maya is greater, illusion is greater than the Lord. Then it defeats the definition of God, that God is the supreme absolute truth, Swarat. So, okay, so that's the, then next. Vidura said, since you know the matters inconceivable to us, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitors of living beings? So Vidura is telling Maitreya, you know much more than I know. Can you please tell what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis? How did he create other living beings? Something like that. Significant here is the word avyakta margavit. One who knows that which is beyond our perception. Vit means to know, and avyakta means beyond the unmanifest. Marga. Marga is the path also. To know matters beyond one's perception, one has to learn from a superior authority in the line of disciplic succession. So with our senses, we cannot figure out, where, what is going on really. Is we cannot say whether there is God, there is no God. With our senses, we cannot figure out. So we have to hear. That's what. But then some people say, well, how do you know what we are hearing is true? Well, this is written in books and all the scriptures, and people are speaking about it. So then, if you want to know it's true, then just practice it. Practice what is given in the books, and then see if there is some change, if there's some perception like that. And even if you don't have perception, you just accept it, because then what is the other alternative? What is the truth? The other truth is that there is nobody in control. It's just happening randomly. It's all, that is not very logical, that everything just came about by chance. And there's nobody in control like that. Sometimes science goes to physical laws, right? They give explanation through physical laws. This is how it happened. But who made the laws? Now you may say, well, the laws are there. It's not made by anybody. But the laws are perfectly made by some person, by some intelligence. One Nobel laureate said, why nature is mathematical is a mystery. Why these laws are so made such that we can survive on this earth. And so that is all happening. Laws are made, there is a lawmaker, and we are just discovering the laws. But the Vedas say behind the laws there is a lawmaker. And science cannot actually, they just say the law is there. Yeah, the law of gravitation is there. This is there. The law, there, it stops there. And why it is like that, we don't know. Why the law is like that. It's just there. So, but then Vedic understanding, we say, oh no, because it is designed by Krishna. It is like Krishna's intelligence at work. That's why things are there like that. Krishna also says, now in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So, everything is working under my direction. It says like that. Now, how do we know that there is a person behind that? Then you have to accept bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Krishna says, if you want to know me, then you have to accept bhakti. Just to know who is our father is beyond our perception. For that, the mother is the authority. Similarly, we have to understand everything beyond our perception from the authority who actually knows. And that is a problem, because in modern science, they don't accept Vedas as authority. They accept like everything based on empirical evidence, so or hypothesis which is proven. So they don't accept Shabda Brahman. Their way to find knowledge is through Anuman and Pratyaksha and Anuman, through the mind, logic, and through Pratyaksha, through direct perception, through the senses. So that is why, unless you accept Shastra, then can't figure out. So we should know, we should feel that I don't know. I don't know so many things, and Shastra is telling me I should accept it. The Acharyas are saying, like Mahatma Prabhu says, I don't know, I'm not so intelligent. But Prabhupada is intelligent. Prabhupada is in touch with Krishna. He's pure devotee of the Lord. So whatever he says, it's correct. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chite De Koriyakya. The first Avyakta Margavid or authority is Brahma, and the next authority in disciplic succession is Narada. Maitreya Rishi belongs to that disciplic succession, so he is also Avyakta Margavid. So Brahma was, of course, the first authority is Krishna, then Brahma. Then anyone in this bona fide line of disciplic succession is Avyakta Margavid, a personality who knows that which is beyond ordinary perception. So we don't know about our planet only, Earth. And there are so many planets, right? What do we know about other planets? What's going on? We don't know anything. There are planets light years away. And what's going on, how it came, we don't know. Vidura inquired, how did the Prajapatis? So we'll do till 8, then we'll hear the class, Bhagavatam class. The Prabhu has come, he's going to give Bhagavatam class. So we'll hear it on Zoom. I'll put it on Skype here. Vidura inquired, how did the Prajapatis, such progenitors of living entities such as Marichi and Swayambhuva Manu, create according to the instruction of Brahma? And how did they evolve this manifested universe? Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did they all jointly produce it? Was it a joint effort with the wives, or they did independently, or how? How did the Prajapatis create? Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity, by Mahavishnu, and by force of time, the total material elements were produced. So we know there is Pradhan, Mahat Tattva, and then the glance of Vishnu agitates this. And then all the material varieties were produced from the unmanifest and amalgamated. The cause of material creation is described here. Like we have, in this world, we have many material elements like clay and metal and everything. And then by the interaction of human beings with those elements, then they are put into different shapes and varieties. You have a car, you have a building, you have like a bicycle. So many different things are, you have a train. So different shapes are given. Otherwise it was all like in one like form, homogeneous form. So the glance of Vishnu creates the different material elements. The cause of material creation is described here very lucidly. The first cause is Deva, or the destiny of the conditioned soul. The material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over material nature. When did we enter into the material nature? We cannot say. It is timeless. Anadi karma phale. Divanishi hiya jwale. Tari bare na dekhi upay. Anadi means beginningless. We cannot trace. Since time immemorial, Prabhupada says, we have been in this material existence. How many bodies we have taken, and we don't know how, so long time we have been in this material existence. And we have become conditioned by this material existence. For being in the material existence for such a long time, we have become conditioned. Now we have to reverse that conditioning by Krishna consciousness. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over the material nature, but in the Vedic literature we always find the material creation is meant for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. There is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment, which is called Maya. That is the cause of material creation. Krishna bhuli jiva bhoga vancha kore.
भाषते राजा पटेल.
So, this environment of illusion has been created where we can feel we are the enjoyers and the controllers. So, it's the, as soon as we forget our relationship with Krishna, then we come into this Maya, this illusion. And for the time being, we think, yes, I'm the control and I'm the enjoyer, and then smashed. Mrityu sarvaharaschaham, Krishna says, I'll finish everything at the time of death, everything is finished. Or before that also. Many things don't work out according to our plan to enjoy in this material nature. We have plans to enjoy like this and we think that will happen, this will happen, and it doesn't happen and we become frustrated. Then we start finding out, oh, what's the root cause of my suffering? Why am I suffering? Prabhupada says, Keno Upanishad. This why question should be there. Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Why I have to go through birth? Sanatana Goswami also asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why this threefold miseries I am going through? I am a Pandit. But why am I suffering? These threefold miseries. Can you please tell me? So, Gramya Vyavare, it says, in the eyes of people, I am a Pandit because he was very learned. He had so many. But he says, I am a fool. I don't know why these threefold miseries are happening to me. So, when we are under the influence of Maya, we don't even question, why am I suffering? So first thing is why? Why am I here? So, Maya covers us, right? So we don't even ask the question why. Avaranatmika Shakti. It's the covering potency of Maya. And we become happy. There's a verse like that, right? We become accustomed to be happy in whichever situation. As a pig also, we feel very happy. Yes, this is nice. I'm getting my food. So we become accustomed to a sense of material happiness. And in the mode of goodness also, he becomes conditioned by a sense of happiness in the material world that he doesn't want to get out. That's why Krishna says the mode of goodness is also binding. Because things are nice and then you don't want to get out of this material existence. And you are pious, so you have relatively less suffering, but death is there. Another word used here is durvitarkyena. No one can argue about when and how the conditioned soul became desirous of sense enjoyment, but the cause is there. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. It is the kingdom of Maya. Gopinath, sakali tumara Maya, nahi mama bala, jnana sunirmala, swadhina nahe kaya. Gopinath. Abrahma stambha paryantam, sarva maya mayam jagat, satyam satyam puna satyam, harinamaiva kevalam. From Brahma's abode down to the lowly clump of grass, Maya reigns supreme in this treacherous morass. Yes. Dravida is translated this. Ha Brahma stamba paryantam sarva maya mayam jagat. But the truth, the only truth. Satyam satyam. I'm telling you again and again. Puna satyam. Puna means again. The truth, the only truth. Harinam eva kevalam. Nama bina kichu nahi ko aro, chauda bhuvan maje. So, the acharyas are saying this. Yes, the devotional service to Krishna through the chanting of the holy name is the real thing. As yesterday we were hearing, from the Naam everything will come about. Roop, Gun, Lila, everything is coming from the Naam. And our will be disentangled from the material world, material desires through Naam. Kalir doshe nide rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param rajit. Mukta sangha, become free from all the contamination and will go to the supreme destination through the Naam, holy name. So more we chant nicely, the more purification will happen. More knowledge will come in the heart. Realization will come. Vidya vadu jivanam. So it is the Yuga Dharma. And no one can argue about when and how the conditioned soul became. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul, and it's created by the personality of Godhead. So we have desire to enjoy, so Krishna facilitated. But slowly through that, he wants us to make us detached. That's why we were Varnashram Dharma. Okay, brahmachari, renunciant. Okay, can't remain. Okay, get grihastha, become grihastha, regulated enjoyment. Okay, then become detached, vanaprastha. Then finally take sannyas and go back home, back to Godhead. It is mentioned here that in the beginning of the creation of the material nature or Prakriti is agitated by the personality of God Vishnu. There are three Vishnus mentioned. One is Mahavishnu, another is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and third is Shirodakshaya Vishnu. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam discusses all these three Vishnus, and here also it is confirmed that Vishnu is the cause of creation. From Bhagavad Gita also we learn that Prakriti begins to work and is still working under Krishna's or Vishnu's glance of superintendence. But the Supreme Personality of God is unchangeable. One should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is therefore transformed into material cosmic manifestation. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. He remains the complete balance, even though so many universes are coming from him. He still remains the complete balance. So Prabhupada is saying we should not think that so many creations are coming from him. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. That so he has transformed. He exists in his personal form always, but the cosmic manifestation takes place by his inconceivable potency. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend. It's like a banyan tree, like we have in the genealogical chart. Krishna is at the top, and then Brahma comes, and all the sages come, and then so it's like the root, and then it creates a lot of complexity. This banyan tree of material existence is very, very complex, as Krishna says in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what one should do? Asanga shastrena dridena chitva, with the weapon of detachment. Shastra means a weapon. One should cut one's entanglement in this banyan tree, which is very complex. But how to become detached? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayada Hetukam. By your devotional service to Vasudeva, automatically Jnana and Vairagya comes. So then we can get out of this complex banyan tree in which life presents so many situations. As we saw in India, so many situations, so many people in so many situations. And we wonder how Krishna is keeping track. Oh, this jiva has to be in this situation now. This jiva has to be in this situation now. He has to get this kind of body. All over the world. But in India, you can see so many different people and so many different Sometimes we went to a remote place, we think, oh, people are living here also. Even in this remote place also people are living. Everywhere, all over the universe. So this banyan tree is very complex. And we are hopping from one branch to the next. One should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of God, he is therefore transformed into this material cosmic manifestation. He exists in, okay, we read that. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend. Gahano karmana gatihi. Krishna says the intricacies of karma are very difficult to understand, how karma is working. Krishna himself, who has designed karma, he's saying it's very intricate, this karma cycle. When you will get what result for what karma and how it's very complex. So the workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend, but it is understood from the Vedic literature that the conditioned soul creates his own destiny and offered a particular body by the laws of nature under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of God, who always accompanies him as Paramatma. So this present life and the present body we have is a result of what Krishna gave from our past life we have been, and what we are doing now is going to create our next body. So like that, karmana deva netrena. Okay, this is all basic philosophy. We'll read one more verse. As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from Mahat Tattva, in which the elements of rajas predominates. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of five principles. So false ego, so false identification with the body, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahat Tattva, in which the elements of rajas predominates, the mode of passion. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of five principles. The primordial matter, or Prakriti, material nature, consisting of the three modes, generates four groups or five. The first group is called elementary and consists of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The second group of five is called Tanmatra, referring to the subtle elements, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So for every from earth comes smell, from fire comes form, from air comes touch, ether comes sound. The third group is the five sense organs for acquiring knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The fourth group of five working senses: speech, hand, feet, anus, and genitals. Some say that there are five groups of five. One group is the sense objects, one is the five elements, one is the five sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is senses for working. The fifth group is the five deities who control these divisions. So Karmendriya, Gyanendriya, like that it is described. Five elements, Panchabhuta, and the objects of the senses: sound, touch, form. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, here the class. Any comments?